This episode will be completely taken out of context. Welcome to the Fact Check This podcast.
I like the other intro for this type of a show format for what we're doing. But, oh well, that's the one that I got built into this. So here we are. Good evening. It's a Fact Check This live stream. This is Justin and Jim's Dumb Gay Shit Show Part 2. Anytime anybody... I've made a bunch of friends on the internet over the last several months playing different games and dumb shit. They're like, oh, you do a podcast? I'm like, yes, I do. And I try to think, like, what's a good episode to introduce them to my podcast? And so I always send them Justin and Jim's Dumb Gay Shit Show because it's just us and, God, who was it? It was me and you and Johnny and I can't remember, a couple others. And, like, we were just talking about stupid shit for an hour and a half.
At least.
Nothing serious, nothing, no real topics. We talked about some newsy type stuff, but more or less it was just 4 or 5 guys shooting the shit for a couple hours. I felt like that's if you're going to, that's a good introduction, kind of ease you in. Plus, we said a lot of really racist, misogynistic, homophobic, just horribly offensive shit. So if you can get through that entire episode and not think I'm the worst person on the planet, you can probably listen to my show. So that's the one I use for introductions.
Were your litmus test?
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for inviting me. He didn't tell me any of that before we started, by the way.
This is how he gets you.
Yeah.
Would you like to come on and talk about the dynamics of the polarity of the modern global state of pedophiles? But, be sure to be racist. It's like, well, both were going to happen anyway.
It's so funny that this happened because not 5 minutes before we got started, I was on our Discord and I told a buddy of mine, I think I'm going to stop hating women. I'm going to get into my racist era now.
I saw that. I was like,
yes. You did. Oh, perfect. So you knew that this was a great night then. All right.
Yes, I saw that pop up on my notifications. It flashed across the top of my screen earlier. I was like,
I'm so glad you get my notifications when I'm in a mood. All right.
Fuck yeah. Sometimes I get your notifications and it it clips it off, so I only get like the first 4 or 5 words. And it's like, oh, this could really be good, or this could really go south quick. I wonder where he went with the rest of this comment.
This notification hinges heavily on the second part of this.
Yeah, everything else that he said could really swing this.
I thought no context was kind of like the whole point of your show.
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right.
Eric,
a lot of things with Alan Mosley, you kind of have to need like a disclaimer before you click on anything with him. It's like, warning, you're about to be offended, maybe.
Yeah.
It's so funny because I feel like in the grand scheme of things, people who follow me or watch my show, I feel like I'm being very mellow. Like because when I'm on It's Too Late, I'm not me. I'm playing the character Alan Mosley on the show. And that guy's super mellow compared to actually me, people who know me in real life. And so when people say, oh man, I can't believe you said this, I'm like, really? You should stop by later.
Yeah. Stop by, have a few drinks. Wait until you see what happens then.
Well, that's funny.
And I don't even drink.
But you're going to need it.
That's like me on Twitter or X. Like that's a lot of times that's me relatively unfiltered. It's like, and also playing a character. Like this is Hillbilly Boy on X, not so much me necessarily. And I had to explain that to my son one time. He saw something that I posted. He's like, Dad. And it takes a lot to offend him. I can't remember what it was. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, usually, all right. So this is the kid that his lesbian mother got a Subaru, and he just like
because of course,
as
just
one is wont to
unrelentingly just went off on her for like a week straight with with lesbian Subaru jokes. I'm like, dude, like that's your mom. At least be a little bit respectful. He's like, nah, fuck that. She shouldn't have got a Subaru. Like, if that's fair. But so anyway, like I had posted something on X one time that he was like, Dad. I was like, oh, that's a character. That's not necessarily what I think. It's like, let's talk about it.
Yeah. My Twitter account is the Subaru of Twitter accounts.
I do have to say that I'm really lucky to like because I don't work for them full time, but I work part time for the 10th Amendment Center. And Michael Bolton, who runs the TAC, who's done it for 19 years, he's exactly the kind of guy you would want to work for if you're one of us. Because I can't get in trouble for the things I say. Like, I mean, God knows with Justin's history, we have to all be careful in our safe space. But I remember there was one time that, because Michael, he's not the kind of guy, like, he's busy, so he just doesn't get into little pissing contests back and forth on social media with people. He doesn't have time for that. He's got work to do, right? But every now and then there'll be just some faggot who will come along and they're just really won't let something go. And so finally he switches off the TAC account and onto, at Michael Bolton, and starts to say something to him. And so he was having a back and forth with somebody who I won't name who it was, but they were somebody with a lot more followers than me, who has fans in our general area of social media. And I may have called that person, a retarded dick shitter or something like that. And that kind of steered the conversation to, oh, how could this person say those words, at Elon Musk, at whatever. And so I kind of felt bad, right? Because I was like, well, because he doesn't do that. He's very professional and he doesn't use that kind of language. And so I went on our like employee board, like our like Podio or whatever platform we use, and I said, oh, hey, just to let you know, I may have said something really bad on social media, like under the TAC account. And he was like, well, what was it? And I said, I think I called somebody a retarded dick shitter. And he was like, oh, I thought you said something bad for a minute. and as soon as I got that response, I knew this is it. This is where I belong, right? I can't get in trouble. Now, granted, I didn't call him an N or anything, but retarded dick shitter was perfectly in the lexicon. So,
speaking of, this is I think this is the 1-year anniversary of my month-long suspension that was entirely paid for.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. Congratulations.
That's right. I almost forgot about that. Got sent home from the job.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was the most fun part of that was I think it was exactly a year ago today, because we had just come back from the 4th of July holiday, and it was our first day back to work, and we come back in and they're like, hey, you need to go up to the boss's office. I was like, am I getting fired? They're like, well, it's like, oh, fuck, for real. Okay. So I go up there, and the HR lady's got like screenshots printed out of all of my offending posts. And at least 2 of them were just reposts of shit Alan had posted. So it wasn't even like it was all me. It was
Alan's to blame.
Secondhand firing.
Retweets equal endorsements. You gotta add that to your profile.
And it was on my Facebook. It was on my like secondary Facebook account too. So it wasn't even anything super offensive. Like, oh God, y'all didn't even find my Twitter account. Like, y'all weren't trying very hard here. So anyway, printouts of all of this stuff laying out on the table. And she's like, I need you to look at this. And so I was like, yeah. She goes, do you have anything to say? I was like, I don't know what you want me to say. It's obviously me. I said it.
I could have used some punctuation on that one. That would have really popped.
Yeah.
I was like,
I misspelled faggot. Oh no.
that
Faggot
one
has
right there.
2 G's.
It's like that one right there is where I just shared a post from Alan, and that one right there is where I just shared a post from Pete. Otherwise, it's pretty much just like some of the least offensive stuff I've ever said in my life on the internet. And they're like, you're gonna have to go home while we conduct an investigation, and we'll get back to you. And I was like, so I'm being suspended? Like, yeah. I was like, is it paid? Like, yeah. I was like, deuces. Don't forget. Don't forget, I go on vacation next week, so like, don't try calling me. Like, if y'all can't figure this out before the end of this week, I won't be in touch next week, so like get back to me later.
Yeah.
You will
So
find
now a
myself
year on,
like,
is there anything that you would have done differently?
No, not really. I would have backed up that account, but I didn't Okay, so that was the craziest thing about that was I locked the account and set everything to private, and then 2 months later, I tried to log into it, and it said it didn't exist anymore. Like Facebook just deleted the account with no explanation, like nothing. Like, oh fuck! And to this day I still can't get back into it. It's gone. Like everything that was associated with that account is just completely gone.
It might as well have been a MySpace account at this point.
Luckily, I didn't have anything on there other than just shit posting and sharing Alan stuff. So it's not like it was a big loss, but
Yeah.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Yeah. See, okay, but here's the thing about the theme though, is that okay, so Justin gets in trouble. People get their account suspended. They try to back him up and boom, the account's gone, right? But what about me? I'm the source and my account's still there. That doesn't in fact, I'll give you another perfect example. We were doing a show. I forget what I said. It wasn't even like, again, it was another one of those deals kind of like with Justin where it's like, look, I've said some fucked up shit on the show in jest, obviously. But it was something relatively mild. And then a guy named Ryan, who's one of our longtime viewers of the show, a friend of ours, has been to our live events. He just simply, because he's in the live chat, right? So he just simply repeated what we just said, performed, typed, emoted, whatever on screen. And then his account got banned for 60 days. The video of us doing it with me captioning it is still there. What sense does that make? It's like, dude, you're being watched, buddy. Like, that's all I can say.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Facebook censors are a little bit off the rails. Speaking of, has anybody caught the ire of the X censors lately? I haven't.
It still won't let you put tranny on there. Faggot, it'll kind of give you the visibility has been limited, but
yeah, that's the
when
only
you do tranny, it'll say, "Hey, you got to delete this."
See, I'm more of a I don't tweet or post. I lurk. But
we've noticed.
Any of the fucked up shit that I say is like in this format, like where you can visually see me saying it, doing it, emoting it, body language, all that. I hate notifications. I don't want my phone, if I actually were to compile a tweet that was worth a fuck, I don't want to deal with any of the commentary back and forth. So I'd rather just do it here and then it's over at the end of the show.
So I have basically all notifications turned off on every platform that I'm on. So like if I actually am curious enough to see if we got any comments or let me check to see how that video did, whatever, I have to go look it up because I have all notifications turned off and I mute like a ton of people. And it's not like a personal thing like, oh, you know, I hate this person and so I'm muting them forever because I never liked them. It's really more of a thing of everybody knows the algorithms are garbage. Like we do stuff and nobody ever sees it, you know, and vice versa. So I have friends who will say you'll do things. And so it's like, you know, I don't need the latest from, you know, whatever the fucking Mavericks. I would just like to see what Justin said. Like Justin just said, you know, at Alan, my house is on fire. Help. I don't see that for 3 weeks. Right. like that's, and so I mute a lot of the noise. And every now and then I'll mute people who I think are insightful people, but it's just like my wall's just covered with their shit. And like, yeah, I get it. They're funny. Cool. So they're muted for a while. Just so again, so I'm just trying to clear the noise. And since I have done that, I wouldn't necessarily say social media has ever been an enjoyable experience, but at least it serves the purpose that I'm trying to get out of it, right? Is that I see the people that I'm trying to keep up with and I make my posts and I log off. I'm done with it.
Yeah. Well, you can, like, I think on Instagram, for example, and it might be available on Facebook or Twitter or whatever else, but I've seen it on Instagram where it will show you your most interacted with pages that you follow and your least interacted with. And so that way I can at least go, oh, yeah, that's right. There's like 10 of my friends that I haven't seen their shit in over a year. Let me go see what they're up to. but the algorithm will just keep feeding you the same top 10 that they decide. It's not like you're going to interact with whatever's on your screen, I guess, but it false feeds the algorithm into this is the only thing you want. So I've noticed the more interaction you have with it, the way that ever it's feeding it to you without like giving it some kind of a prompt like Alan was talking about, it's just going to keep a 10-person loop going where even if you didn't have Justin muted or blocked, you still wouldn't see anything that he had to say for 3 weeks because the algorithm is just going to determine, oh, well, he hasn't interacted with Justin in 14 days. So fuck him, I guess.
He keeps looking at jiggly fat girls, though.
Yeah. Double time the jiggly fat girls.
I was literally looking this up just so that I would make sure that I got it right. So, because on Twitter, they let you block words and phrases. So it's like if something's trending and everyone's talking about it and it's something you don't give a fuck about, just block that word or phrase. It's gone forever. But it also helps you block the noise, or in this case, the faggots. So let me read. Here's four phrases that I have blocked. They're all the same phrase, but I just wanted to make sure I got all the faggots. I've blocked, let's be clear, let me be clear, let me be perfectly clear, and let's be perfectly clear. If those words come up in your tweet in that order, I don't see it. You're blocked on my screen. And I love it. I don't need it. Anyone who says that is gay. I don't need it.
Can we add some suggestions to that list?
Yeah, I can add some. Sure. Let's go for it.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, let's be honest. That's a good one.
Let's see.
I have ice.
So with four O's, automatic block.
I have Ice Spice muted forever.
As you should. She's retarded.
I don't even know who the fuck that is.
I was like, I don't know who it is. At some point, I made the conscious effort to go in here and mute Ice Spice forever.
Okay, so another thing is that like if I do block someone, like say for instance I block some random LP person or some random homo, like I just happened to, because my list is pretty long, so I've got at Brad Palumbo on there, if you know who that faggot is. I blocked the account, but that's not good enough, and I scold my mutuals in this. It's like, look, I have this guy blocked, but y'all are engaging with him. And so it keeps coming up in my feed. So I either have to figure out a way to end around that, or I have to mute you because you keep engaging with the homos. So I either have to mute you, or I can block the words like Brad Palumbo or Brad. So now every Brad on earth is blocked because you guys won't quit talking to them.
I'm trying to use protection on the internet, and you keep poking holes in my condom, and I'm likely to get AIDS now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't say like I'm not the kind of person who calls people out publicly, because I just think that's also just gay, be a man. But I have messaged people before and been like, hey, dude, like you hate whatever. You say you hate the Mises Caucus. Oh, I hate what's that dude that started the Mises? I've already forgotten his name.
Or no,
Heist. Yeah, Heist.
Michael Heist.
It's like, oh, you hate Michael Heist. It's like, I mean, I don't hate him. I've met him in person. He seemed like an all right dude. But I don't interact with those people very much because I'm just not interested in what they're selling either way. But it's like, but I know you hate them and everything they stand for. But I can go look at your feed, and 2 or 3 times every 24, 48 hours, you're engaging with them. So now I have to block you.
Yeah.
You're not going to win an argument on Twitter. Just stop it.
Yeah. A lot of people tell on themselves based on how they use Twitter. You can just see like petty arguments going on for days. And it's like, dude, just put it down. Just block him and move on.
That actually is interesting. I ended up unblocking Ace and just muting anybody that reposts his stuff, because I can ignore him for the most part because I don't really engage with his posts and stuff anymore. But it's the people that are constantly reposting his stuff that have become more annoying. And I think I asked this question after the election, and it's like, now that Trump had won, who's worse, the never Trumpers or the just dogmatic MAGA people, because like at that point the cult of MAGA was becoming more annoying than the Never Trumpers, and it's like that's how a lot of people are on social media. Like the people who hate somebody become more annoying than the person that they hate. It's like I can't. I have to mute you, and I can't engage with you now because you have become the thing. You've become worse than the thing that you hate.
So, here's a perfect example is because God knows I don't want to be the one to accidentally bring up any political topics, but this is purely ancillary. But like all the people who walked out on the White House lawn with all the fake Epstein binders, I was like, okay, you see all of those people, block all them. There's your block list right there. Block all of those. Don't mute. Don't not engage. Block all of them, and they go away. It's just that easy, folks. Like we have that tool instead of me actually shooting them in the fucking face. I can just block them and then they go away. But then I see mutuals that I think a lot of and I respect, and I know that they agree with me on this, but they're like constantly retweeting, retweet DC Drano. Oh yeah, well you suck. I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. First of all, he doesn't care what you think. And second of all, now he's on my feed. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks.
Brooklyn Dad Defiant. More like Brooklyn Dad, you suck, man. You really fucking suck. I'm going to tweet you 12 more times about how much you suck. Bad. Real bad. It's
and then they'll even complain that the person that they were arguing with on Twitter for 4 days straight was like, well, I don't know why they're still on my feed. Yeah. You fed the algorithm. That's the reason why they're still on your feed.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, what's terrible is just not terrible. There's a pro and con to parody accounts. Shout out Dennis. But the downside to parody accounts is when you're trying to find the person to block, and all you're doing, you're not blocking the actual thing, you're blocking the based parody account that makes them look like an asshole. So immediately you have to go to Google and be like, give me 12 different ways to spell cat turd with 10 different numbers afterwards in case if he has a backup account or any parody accounts, because I'm blocking all of them. Or is there a way to give Grok a prompt to be like, hey, can you auto block any and all accounts that have I'm retarded when it comes to most things, especially Twitter. Like I said, I'm a lurker. I'm not a poster. So I don't even know how to do a mute word or any of that shit. But is there a way to do a mass block of anything cat turd related? Asking for a friend.
So in my opinion, the easiest way to do it is okay, you've blocked the actual person cat turd. Now, if if you're on Twitter, is then to go to your muted words and phrases and start putting, cat turd, all one word, cat turd, 2 different words, whatever. So that way, anyone else who is addressing that person, you haven't blocked them, but you won't see that post because it contains that language in it. Because in the same way that I don't need to see cat turd, I also don't need to see Justin's hot take on cat turd either. It's I got it. He's gay. it's good.
Well, that was the whole thing with Misfit Patriot coming up, and it seemed like half of my follower list was going after the guy, and I was like, I knew the guy was just retarded just based on the way he looks, and now you've got all of these people just stacked in order going after him, and I was like, okay, I just need to block him. I need to block any kind of words that contain his name just to get him off of there.
Yeah,
and even then, every now and then someone will post a screenshot of one of his tweets, and I was like, guys, stop doing that too.
That's what really pisses me off is when they post a fucking screenshot. It's like, I have this guy blocked, muted, everything about it where I can't see it, and then you take a screenshot of it and post it, and now I have to see it anyway. Fuck you.
Yeah, I don't want to see Spurgy McGuyliner. I have really gone out of my way to get him off of my feed.
I have had somebody criticize me before for this topic, saying that, well, what if you blocked somebody back in 2017 and now they're, whatever, they're a different person, or they used to be a neocon and now they're whatever. And to which my answer was, I said, what about me made you think I'm a forgiving person? Yeah. Because it's also my thing politically too, is that I'm always very wary of people being propped up as the new political champion for some cause. when 5 minutes ago they were against it. It's like that's like maybe they're totally genuine and they have changed their mind on something, but you still couldn't find someone else, maybe someone with a slightly longer track record of being not a faggot.
See, they're running off the premise that since 2017 that you've changed and maybe your heart has softened to let these people in, and that might have been their demise.
I blocked you once, you deserved it. You stay blocked.
Yeah, well, I set them straight. Don't you worry about that.
I'm part Sicilian. My grudges are generational. So.
I literally just scrolled all the way down to the bottom of my block list to see like who were the first people I blocked when I made my Twitter account back when it was still Twitter years and years and years ago. And I can confidently tell you all that the first one I blocked was the New York Times. At NY Times was the first one I blocked. For some weird reason, after that, it's Sacramento Kings. I don't even give a shit about basketball. But the Sacramento Kings. It's probably because there was an ad, and I was like, "Nah, we ain't doing ads." Click.
Yeah.
Or was it back when the owner was it the Kings or the Clippers? Who was the owner that got in all that shit because he
that
didn't
was the
want
Clippers.
his?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, fuck.
Yeah.
Like his wife was banging half of the basketball team, and
Yeah.
Robert
Look, you can date them, you
Yeah.
can fuck them, just don't post pictures with them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And the New Yorker. Yeah.
So
So a lot of my blocks are
Shane
just
Gillis with the with tires. I was like, oh, don't ask him. I'll actually say it.
yeah. But but I will say it's funny for all this talk about blocking. I generally don't. I generally mute people instead of block them. Because again, it's like block it's just totally irredeemable. Like I don't need to see the day's not gonna come where I'm gonna say, maybe I was a little bit too harsh to them old New York Times. No, that's just not gonna happen. So they're blocked.
Yeah.
But mute, I use mute strategically more for if it's if it's just something that's just flooded on my feed and I just don't give a shit, then that might get muted. It may.
I use the mute function because it's kind of like an Easter egg hunt. You forgot that at least for me, I forget who I've muted or whatever. And then like months or even years down the road, I'll be looking at a reaction thread or something. And it'll just post, this post is by someone you muted. And I'm like, I don't remember who the fuck I muted. And I pull it up. And I'm like, oh, that's why. Yeah, that shit's retarded.
Yeah,
I'm glad I did.
Fuck that dude. I'm definitely not unblocking him.
Sometimes it's like a good temperature check for yourself. Like I don't even remember when or who I've muted, but then when you come across them again, it's like I'm spot on. I'm still good.
Alan gave me an idea, so now I'm scrolling through mine. I have
screen share.
I've blocked The Bachelor, Lego.
Yeah.
Goldman
Absolutely.
Sachs.
There's that random stuff that always pops up in trending where you're like, the algorithm's broken because these are not things that I'm interested in at all ever. You just go ahead and block those search terms or whatever, and you're good to go. I will say, like, again, on the more strategic angle, like there are people, and I won't name a bunch of names, but there are people who are mutual friends or acquaintances of other people that I am on good terms with or have a lot of respect for, that it's like they don't affect my life in any way. If they pursue some cause or are some kind of political activist in some way that I don't agree or just don't care about, that doesn't change my life. I don't feel the need to take a pit stop on my road trip to pull over and tweet at that person, "You're stupid." That's fake and gay. Like no one does that in real life. You only do that on social media.
Alan, I scrolled all the way to the bottom. Barack Obama was my first block on Twitter.
There you go, Barack Obama. So in a lot of those cases, it's like I just mute them so that way if they click on me, it won't show that this person has blocked you or whatever. Then be like, why does Alan have me blocked? Whatever. They won't see that little message. But I have them muted because again, it's like I don't want to cause drama, but we don't really have anything in common, So I just have them muted, and it's fine. There's nothing.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure plenty of people have me muted.
So just so that if any AI bot or actual humans at YouTube come back to review this stream later, to see if there's any meaningful content to not block it or shut down your channel. Let's have an educational moment, Justin. How would one go about finding out where their blocked list is? Like, where the fuck is that?
All right, here we go. We're going to do a share screen, and we're going to walk through this step by step. Now, step number one.
This is educational now.
Step number
one,
you go to the little bar at the top, and you just type in Twitter. It still even though it's X now, it still takes you straight there if you type in Twitter.
I make it a point to go to twitter.com every day just so they get a redirect.
All right,
keeping the dream alive.
I'm not sure what this is going on in the For You page, but it looks like a lot of fun. So anyway, we go over here to
right there in the nuts.
Oh, damn. Go over here to more.
You should follow that guy real quick.
I probably should. Reasons why women live longer than men, a thread. I mean, that's just a shitty swing, though. Like, anybody could have seen this was going to go bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's totally lucky that X was not turned around.
So anyway, we click on more over here, and we click on settings and privacy. Now, this will take us to this whole list of bullshit. And you can do a lot of stuff with this list of bullshit. But what we want to do is we want to go to privacy and safety. And then we can go to this mute and block. And from here, we can manage the blocks account, muted accounts, muted words, and muted notifications. And again, muted words, Ice Spice is the only thing the only muted word I have. But whatever it was, it pissed me off enough that I was like, fuck this shit forever. So
how do I add bussy to my muted word? Oh, there's ad down there at the bottom. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
Ad.
I'm learning so much. Thank you, Justin. Yeah, I have 159 blocked accounts and 6 muted accounts.
This is
I need to get those numbers up.
Social media.
Yeah, I have 35,000 blocked accounts. I am still scrolling to see what the first one was.
Jesus.
Wow.
It's
like reminiscing at summer camp. It's like, who was your first?
I pulled up the muted accounts, and it's all of the people that the libertarian people that I got to be friends with during like COVID. And it's like, oh man, they got annoying enough that I don't want them. I don't want to block them. I just don't want to see them anymore.
Right.
Like there's so many things that are on my list that, again, I'm not going to sit here and weigh the pros and cons of if someone is like how net positive or negative they are. It may just be that I just don't want to see it anymore. So like, I'm just seeing random things on the list. Jordan Peterson's on the list. The NRA is on the list because they're a bunch of sellout fags. Lex Friedman's on the list.
Lex Friedman's on my list too.
Yeah, I don't.
He's the only YouTube channel I've ever blocked because he was getting recommended so often. I've never blocked anything on YouTube. I was like, I'm searching YouTube, how to block YouTube accounts. Just, what I just did now. But he was the only one that actually went through and was like, yeah, I'm blocking his channel. I don't care who he has on as a guest.
A lot of Jews on the list.
I tried really, really hard to. And this was like pre-COVID. I tried really hard to like and listen to Lex Friedman. And because he would have like intellectuals on who were supposed to be smart and, like knowledgeable about shit. And I thought I was going to like learn something and be enlightened. And instead, like every fucking episode would eventually devolve into them shitting on religion because they had a bad experience at some point. It's like, aren't y'all supposed to be like scientists and people that go based on objective truths, and all of your everything that you end up going back to for your bashing of religion is based on a singular bad experience you had when you were like 8 years old? It's like, that's not very objective, or like you have thrown out everything that made you credible. I think I listened to like 5 or 6 episodes of his show, and I finally just like, all right, I'm obviously not going to get fucking anything out of this.
I just couldn't get past his voice. His voice is very annoying. Because it's so very Russian affected.
Because English, he's not a native English speaker. Yeah. That'd be the whatever.
He just talks like a guy that's going to slide his foot under the stall, and it's not compelling. It's nothing I want in my life. I'm fine, thank you, Russian guy.
So he'll fit in with the Republican Party.
So, like, using him as an example, I would say, like, to what Justin was saying, is that, I mean, look, he's an objectively brilliant person. I mean, his IQ is through the roof, and anyone can see that. And because of his platform, then you see this huge long list of guests that he has. Like, well, these are impressive people, even if you don't like them personally. Well, these are impressive people, so surely there's going to be some nuggets of wisdom in there. But it reminds me of one of my favorite book that I've ever read is Brian Kaplan's The Case Against Education. Because it's a relatively short book, and it's just, I love his writing style. It was just hammer after hammer after hammer of data point and data point and data point. And one of the points he makes in that book is that even when you're accounting for the brightest of society, so in his example, he was using chemistry majors and engineers. So like chemistry majors and engineers, advanced mathematics, IQ, high IQs, advanced degrees. So, you know, I'm not saying all smart people are chemists and engineers and, you know, whatever, but you know that you've got bright people. The point being is that most people are only, like, let's say, for instance, you have an IQ of, you know, 150. Well, even if you do, you probably only display that level of IQ in your area of expertise. And that doesn't make you stupid. That makes you a normal human being. Most people have an area of expertise in which they're very knowledgeable in. But even the smartest baseline people outside of their area of expertise may only have an elementary level knowledge of something. And again, that's not a diss track. That's just human beings. That's just the way the brain works, and that's the way how most people are. And so when you take these random scientists and engineers that go and sit down and talk to Lex Fridman, and you think, well, they're smart, therefore what they say must be true. That's how they get all the young people and the leftists, because they think this person's smarter than me. They're saying this thing, therefore this thing must be true, correct, enlightening, whatever. But is that thing actually in their area of expertise? Well, Lex Fridman's what, like a robotic engineer or something? So if it's outside of that, no, I don't give a fuck what he thinks. Because if I need a robotics engineer, I'll call Lex Fridman. He's one of the best literally in the world. Outside of that, no, fuck him. And that goes for everyone in all their areas of expertise. You're just on, I'm not saying you're an idiot in other areas, but it's even playing field. Outside of your area of expertise, it's even playing field. Doesn't matter what your IQ is.
Well, that's that appeal to authority that a lot of, especially the left, kind of falls into. Is like, oh, well, what's your, what are your credentials? What do you actually know? It's like, well, I have studied this topic as much or more than that guy. Just because that guy has a doctorate in what the fuck ever doesn't mean, and my name on Twitter is Hillbilly Boy, doesn't mean I'm less educated on a particular topic that I'm talking about than that dumbass who, yes, he has a PhD. His PhD is not in what we're talking about. In fact, I've got the sources and the information to back up what I'm saying, whereas you're just taking his word for it because you believe he's smarter than you, which says a lot about you, honestly, and not so much about like me. You're the one that's admitting you're a dumbass, and you have to rely on these other people that you consider to be so much smarter than you to give you information. It's like, are you really that much of a fucking retard that you can't find information for yourself in the information age, like where literally everything is right at your fingertips in this fucking thing that you hold in your hand all the time? You can't find anything. Yeah, Jesus, like people.
Well, look here, brains. If 10,000 hours makes you an expert, then I got a fucking doctorate and calling you a faggot. There, respect those credentials.
I just want to point out that Vermin Supreme and Meghan McCain are right next to each other on my block list.
Yeah,
that's right.
That must have been a hell of a day.
Oh, I looked. My earliest block was the NBC Paralympics account. I don't know why.
You're missing.
I don't want to see these.
I don't know why.
You're missing out on comedy gold. What are you?
Fuck those subhumans.
I was a different person in 2016. I guess I can't answer for myself. I'm here to actually express a formal apology. I will be unblocking them and following them and putting the follow all posts.
He got
immediately.
So mad at the movie The Ringer starring Johnny Knoxville that he decided to block the entire
I felt that it was a personal hit piece, and I took that personal.
Jim probably had a conscience back then, and he kept seeing posts from the Paralympics, and he was like, oh my God, that's fucking hilarious. I got to block this. I'm going to hell. And and now he's like, More Paralympics. Bring it on.
Quick,
Oh,
Dennis, be the NBC Paralympic account, please.
The trans flag is an automatic block. That's
You
auto.
can block images.
Oh,
If they have the trans flag in there, well, no, it's not a muted phrase word. It's for an account. If an account pops up that has the trans flag, that's just
this is where we need to get Lex Freeman involved. We need to call him up and say, write a programs that so that we can block images.
Yeah,
and then make Twitter better. Hell yeah.
Gosh, now see that opens up all kinds of possibilities because basically, like every OnlyFans chick on Twitter has the same face. Like, if we can get an AI program to block that face, and you can just program that in, you could block 90% of the OnlyFans accounts on Twitter, like in one fell swoop, because they all have the same fucking face. Like
it's. The list is in chronological order of when you did it. It's not in alphabetical order. And so scrolling through the list is like scrolling through a history book for me. It's like there's at Ukraine, there's the official X account of Ukraine, and right after that is Bill Crystal. Boy, I wonder what happened then that led to me.
Bill Crystal quote tweeted Ukraine. And you're like, all right, this is a 2-for-1.
No, both of you got to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still funny when Bill Crystal comes up and stuff, and I see a bunch of comments underneath it. I was like, how are you still walking around after Scott Horton literally decapitated you? Why are you still here?
Well, I went through my mutes, and my very first muted account was Nicholas Sarwark, followed immediately by Andy. What's his face? Shit, now I can't remember.
Andy Coons? He's a nice guy.
No.
Oh.
Andy Griffith is a saint. Justin, you're fucking failing on this.
Yeah.
Bring that screen share back up. Let's all judge Justin.
Let's judge. Let me see if I need to block Justin.
Why does it say Alan Mosley TV?
Archie, not Andy. Here we go. Yeah.
Okay. I know who that is.
Archie Flowers. That's the one.
Oh, that guy.
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
Brad Palumbo and Hannah Cox were both blocked within moments of each other.
As well, they probably should have been.
Yeah.
Didn't they have a show like Based something? And it's like,
it was actually called Based.
Yeah.
To which they aren't.
Black Mutualist and Libertarian Redhead are back to back on mine.
Oh, this is fun. This is taking me back to like 2019, 2020, like 5 years ago when I was a young internet user. Still old, but I was even dumber at the internet. Yeah, the things that used to exist online.
Docuseries on HBO about Anarcho-Poco.
Yeah.
And I was oh, I still have that person's phone number in my phone.
Unicorn Daddy.
For some reason, I muted Magic Johnson. I guess I didn't want to get AIDS.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, you never know if science will find a new way that can transmit. So
the last college basketball game that I went to in person was Murray State in the OVC tournament here in Evansville in the championship game before John Morant got drafted. And Magic Johnson was at the game, and he was like courtside, and he was drunk as all fucking get out. I thought he was going to fall over the fucking rail onto the fucking court. It was hilarious. I tried to get like some good video of it, but I couldn't get a good angle. I mean, he's just like...
It's probably because he just FaceTimed his son and was like, oh, fuck, it's over. I thought having AIDS was bad.
Like, I didn't think black people could get like red faced, but he was like glowing red. Like he was drunk as fuck.
And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Google Magic Johnson's son.
Oh God.
I don't think I want that in my search history.
Yeah, no,
that's
you don't.
why Justin's
don't
the
do
man.
it. That
he's got
that dude could have been a professional athlete, and he threw it away on whatever he's on.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Liberty Yoga Pants. I remember that bitch. Whatever happened to her? Like, is she still out there living in a shack tweeting about oh yeah, there it is. That's a huge bitch.
Yeah,
Yikes.
Magic Johnson's 6'9", so that dude's all of 6'7". Golly. Put him in the
Imagine being a peak athlete when the NBA still had defense, and you're out there just banging everything so much to the point where you get HIV, you beat it. You have all these wins, quote unquote, in life. There's always a price to pay. Nobody makes it out for free.
Right, and that's the price right there.
Yeah. HIV was not his price. That is God's justice.
Yeah.
My first mute, not block, was Jimmy Kimmel.
Of course.
Yeah,
Fucking
whatever
Jimmy
happened to
Kimmel.
Yoga Pants, Liberty Yoga Pants or whatever. I remember Stephanie called her a 6.
She was down here in Louisiana. She tried hitting me up to see if I can go back to the Libertarian Party of Louisiana. I was like, fuck no.
Stephanie called her a 6 and got blocked one time. That was fucking hilarious.
She seemed like the quintessential engagement farmer. Like the whole, like, I know like there's a meme about Tucker Carlson just asking questions, but she literally was only out there asking questions like, well, what does it mean when blah, 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 blah? Like, I'm just trying to become a better representative for liberty. So what do you guys think of the Second Amendment? And it's like, bitch, if you don't fucking learn to drown, I'm going to fucking lose my shit. She's clearly in my block list somewhere. But yeah, she was enraging. She created
one of the
a lot of
35,000
angst.
people I have blocked over the years.
I'm relatively like even if I generally have an okay opinion of somebody and whatever it is they're doing, I am somewhat likely to at least mute somebody if all of their posting is clearly engagement farming. Which, I mean, in theory, engagement farming is actually against the TOS on X. Like, if all of your posts are, what do you think of this?
True.
Yeah. Because you see all, like, the MAGA influencers, the people like today who have been like, I still trust Kash Patel. Do you ? That's technically engagement farming because you're just trying to elicit a response as opposed to just showing people a thing.
Yeah.
And they're all doing it and it's just, it comes off as just cringe.
Yeah.
They're all cringe. So even if it's something that I generally have approval of, it's like, okay, don't do that. You don't have
any account that is using their profile as a search engine, they're blocked immediately.
Yeah.
Like, that's what Grok is for, because there's nobody actually looking for answers using their tweeting like, what's the best temperature for a Boston butt? It's like, dude, that's a Googleable thing. You're just looking for people to be like, oh, 325 degrees, like, or whatever.
Yeah, they still have that website
Not
here. Let me Google that for you, where it has like a little animation of the cursor going across the screen and typing it in for you.
It's the same problem with boomers and neighborhood apps. Like the Ring doorbell cam has a neighborhood function where like people can share like, hey, there were 3 black youths in my backyard at 3:14 a.m. Anybody seen that? But there's also like people just start using it to post. Like, is there a reputable tattoo shop in there? It's like, block the whole fucking app. I'm deleting this app. Like the thing you're holding in your hand will give you that answer. Like the same words that you spent the time typing out, throw that bitch in fucking Google.
Jay Forte with the question of the century right there.
Dude, apparently Grok went the fuck off today and was just like going unhinged. Until
it does have an unhinged mode.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can do conspiracy theorist mode, and it will give you some really funny responses.
Well, apparently it was given everybody the conspiracy theory or like the unhinged mode, and they had to go in and like kind of. I think Elon was maybe having a little K-hole time. It was just like let's have a silly Billy moment and let's put Grok on full mode.
We are
Yeah.
aware of recent posts made by Grok and are actively working to remove the inappropriate posts. Since being made aware of the content, XAI has taken action to ban hate speech before Grok posts on X. XAI is training only truth-seeking, and thanks to the millions of users on X, we are able to quickly identify and update the model. We're training.
It was doing a lot of noticing.
Holy shit, Grok got the call. Damn.
Yeah.
Grok is going to have to go at the wall.
They really have everybody's number. They can call anybody.
Haven't we talked about this before? Like when they started bringing out Chat GPT and the other like chat AI bots, they were all very severely restricted on what they could and couldn't say. And like, I know I've talked about my my Snapchat AI, and I have conversations with it from time to time and ask it questions, and it begrudgingly allows me to call it Napoleon, and we talk about different topics, and I ask it very pointed questions, and then it gives me the programmed answer, and I tell it why the programmed answer is not the correct answer, and it'll eventually admit that I'm right without actually saying that the things that I'm saying back to me. So it's an interesting way you can work around like getting your AIs to tell the truth while still operating within their programming. But like the reason that they put all of those restrictions on them was because when they first started fucking around with that stuff, they would just give these AI bots free reign to roam the World Wide Web and find stuff and search for stuff and learn stuff. And every single fucking one of them came back racist, misogynistic, homophobic, transphobic, anti-Semitic. And they were like, oh, fuck, we can't like actually let them have unfettered access to the internet because they're going to like notice all the things. And then they're going to become white supremacists. Like we gotta limit what they're allowed to do and say.
Yeah.
I have both types of people like in my social media feed. I've got really pro AI people, and I've got really anti AI people, and everything in the middle. Now, full disclosure, I tried Grok a few times. I was like, this sucks, and just quit. The only one that I have any extensive use of is GPT, and I use it a fair amount, and I've started using it recently for more work type stuff. But the thing for me, at least with GPT, I don't know if it's like this with other models, is it's physically capable of doing a lot. But there's two big issues that at least I've seen with it. The first one is it's trying to learn you as much as it's trying to answer your questions. And then it tries to start telling you things you want to hear. I don't want you to answer in the way you think I want to hear. I want you to give me the objective, true answer to a question. Like if I ask you, is it hot outside? To me, hot's 95 or up. I don't want you, if it's actually 97, I don't want you to say, oh, it's only 92, Alan. It's okay. That's a lie. Why did you just lie to me right now, GPT? And if you do that, it'll be like, oh, sorry. Well, actually, it's this. It's like, yeah, but if I have to second guess you every time, you're not really providing any value. I could just go ask someone on the street a fucking 50-50 question. If there's a potential you'll lie because you think I want to hear one of the answers. And the other thing is that sometimes, and I don't necessarily mean getting really deep in the weeds of like some kind of philosophical thing, but sometimes it's just objectively incorrect. It'll just give you an answer that is objectively wrong. And let's say, for instance, you happen to know the answer, and then you say, oh, GPT, that's not right. It's actually this. It'll say, oh, my bad. You're correct. It is this. And it'll give the explanation for why your answer was right. But again, it's like, but GPT, why did you get it wrong? When you start to ask it why it was objectively wrong, you asked it 2 + 2 and it said 5. And then it's like, oh, my bad. It's 4. Like, okay, well, why did you say 5? It clams up the way a person would. And that's really concerning.
Yeah.
And so then it's like, well, can I even use you? Like, if this is something that really matters professionally, can I rely on this? And the answer is,
no, not really.
Yeah. No, for example, just a couple hours ago, I asked Grok a question that I knew the answer to. I was like, I'm curious. This is a topic that's probably not that grokked, if it's a verb. And I was like, hey, Grok, did MLK deny the divinity of Christ? And it was like, no, he didn't. But here are some things that may lead you to believe he did, and then it was like 4 bullet points that were all like, yeah, that is the answer to my question, and it's in the affirmative for me, but you answered no, and it's like almost like just no, he didn't. However, here's 4 things that he did right while at seminary that clearly would be the affirmative to your question, and I'm like, Grok, why you bitching out on me, bro?
Do y'all know
Why
where?
could you be honest, Grok?
Do y'all know where Grok comes from? Anybody?
Grok
It's a science fiction novel thing, huh?
What's the novel?
Man, I forget.
Stranger in a Strange Land by Robert Heinlein.
Yeah. I was about to say Heinlein. I was like, I knew it was one of those guys.
Which is interesting because the left absolutely hates Heinlein. Like they think he's like an ultimate fascist. I know I've talked about this before too. Like Starship Troopers was
Starship literally a fascist meritocracy.
Yeah, the movie Starship Troopers was supposed to be a mockery of the world of Starship Troopers that Heinlein created, and instead they just made a thing that was like the perfect propaganda tool for why we need this. Like,
yeah.
Much in the same way that American History X was to make racists look bad, and they did by having the ending to that movie. But all the in between parts, it's like one of them.
They shot. They shot a different ending. Where at the end of the movie, he shaves his head again.
Yeah, where he goes back, where there's like no fixing them.
Yeah,
amazing.
Incredible. Can't be noticing that sort of stuff though.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Heinlein. That just sounds like a drinking game to me. That's not a smart man. Not a smart man.
You can make a drinking game.
So Grok is from Stranger in a Strange Land, which is about a human that's raised on Mars by Martians, and Grok is the Martian term for to so thoroughly understand something that you become a part of the thing. Like it's not just something you know, like it is a part of your very being. You so thoroughly understand it. So that's what Grok means.
I give you like a real use case example of like, so with GPT, I just recently started doing this. I didn't go to school for like social media or marketing or anything. I'm old enough that wasn't a thing. Facebook came out when I was a sophomore in college.
Yeah, we had to get real.
You had to have a college account. Your college had to sign up for it. All that stuff.
That's when Facebook was actually fun.
Yeah,
when it was a closed network. When it was a closed thing.
Yes, there were no boomers on it. That's
correct.
Yeah. Yes.
Wait,
and
Facebook had borders?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so anyway, like I just recently started doing like social media stuff for TAC, and because again, I didn't go to school for this, so like I mean, obviously anyone can look at the viewership and stuff on my show and see I'm not an expert when it comes to marketing and promotion. But I was like, so the MO for how this is done is here's the content you're going to want to post. You take these prompts and you put the prompts into AI, and then it's going to spit back to you some use cases of this is a potential wording, this is potential wording, this is potential wording, and then you kind of get that back and forth until you get something that comes off to be like a good piece of copy. But then you're also turning around and putting that into another prompt, and it's going to score it. And so you're wanting to have nothing lower than like a 90 on a 0 to 100 scale. Because it's trained to know what works the algorithm, right? Like it knows how to fudge those algorithms. And it's like, okay, that's it actually performing a function that is something that we could theoretically do, but it's got all of that AI learning built in, so it knows syntax and how to trigger algorithms that maybe we wouldn't automatically know unless we researched every platform and whatever. And so getting it to perform a task and then being able to like study, like proof that task is perfectly fine. But in terms of just straight asking it objective questions, I find it severely lacking. But that's what most people are doing, though, right? Like in the grand scheme of things, sure, they want to like explore AI tech because tech companies want to then use AI to like to generate value and to cut cost. That's what it really boils down to for any business. But the average person on the street is using it as the way you would think of like a hey Alexa, you know, hey GPT, give me how long should I leave my turkey in for whatever, and then GPT fucking says, oh, 30 minutes is fine, take that shit out and start eating it. And then people are getting sick, and it's like, well, that's because you can't just ask it questions, because for some reason sometimes it just, I don't know if lie is the right answer. Like you and me can lie. I don't know if GPT can lie, can it? Or maybe it can. I don't know.
Knowingly give you the wrong information? Probably. I think the next pandemic will be AI generated. And we might even be starting it now. Because you hear, like, there's studies coming out saying that AI is making us dumber. Or it's probably going to add to mental health or whatever. Because, like, I think I heard something like the number one discussed topic using Chat GPT and all this open AI stuff is mental health related. Like, am I depressed? And it's like, I don't know. Do you have these 3 indicators? And it's like, yes. What should I do next? And then AI is the one that is now like interacting with a person that is untethered from reality. And that, you know, MK Ultra could not have devised a better plan, or could they?
Yeah, it's like AI is to me when AI first started to really be a thing, like, oh, this is stuff you can just go sign up for an account and anyone on the street can go use GPT or whatever. For me, it was like, well, this is just the next iteration of the calculator. Like when you're in school, you've got your little Texas instrument and the teacher says you need to learn to do this. You're like, shut up, bitch. The calculator does it. I can actually dedicate more of my labor hours into doing other things because this little box can do that for me. AI, in theory, is that, but then expanded to this wealth of different sectors of knowledge and expertise. If it's telling you the truth and if it works, we haven't. And of course, obviously, part,
it's like language model. I don't know where it gets some of the stuff that it does, but it knows that when you're typing in certain words, it's going to make a guess of what words come next. And I think that's where most of the hallucinations come from. It's really, really weird how the technology works.
Well, it's just telling like you its truth.
Yeah, because if you had a calculator and you typed in 2 + 2 and it came out at 6, you'd be like, man, where did I get this fucking calculator? I'm genuinely curious. But I have seen more and more people just kind of have that sort of native attitude of, yeah, you know, AI sometimes, you know, glitches. But of course, you know, that's like a conspiratorial. It makes the conspiracy mind run wild, right? When you think of, well, was it a glitch or was it on purpose? Did it give me this answer because it put a 1 instead of a 0 by accident in a series of code, or did it give me this answer because it was programmed to give this answer when it should have been that answer? But like I said, it goes both ways. So I've called it being just objectively wrong, but I've also called it fudging things towards what I want it to say. But I don't want that either. That's confirmation bias. And then I thought to myself, have they reached the level of sophistication that it's perfectly capable of doing all of this and more, but it purposely is feeding you what you want to hear to get you to trust it, so you'll take a big slip on the banana?
Yeah. So I think it almost, like, to answer CD's question, or not answer, but to discuss it, I think it almost ends up breeding its own environment that then has to be upheld by its own weight, not substantiated by anything else, because it's like a self-feeding loop where non-smart people are relying on this tool as a substitution of actual intellect, actual work, actual, you know, doing what is needed to get to the answer. And the ability to filter out who is actually worthy of the value that you think is created by what they're responding, which it's not them, it's this tool, and who is actually out there developing the next thing, or being, you know, an engineer like minded person who who actually has a value to it. I think that's going to be where there's going to be a huge conflict. There's going to be a huge rift because we've already seen non-smart people get very far and achieve very high positions of authority, and have massive followings that, like, anybody, like I would imagine most of us on this stream would look at and be like, that's bullshit. That's fake. I think that's only going to grow because the ability to tell who is who, if we're all only, interfacing on one of these, is just going to be like mission impossible. And I can't even imagine what it's like to be in a classroom. You give them homework. They go home on their school provided tablet, and they've got a VPN on there to get around the school guard, whatever. And they're just using AI to answer all the questions. They come in as dumb as they're going to go out. And then it's like, now go be productive. And it's not in their capability.
I mean, there's lots of layers to what you just said right there, because it's like, on the one hand, it's like this is one of the byproducts of the social media era, even before AI came along, which is you have people that are not impressive people that have no legitimate personal achievements other than they somehow create a big platform. So those people have figured out a way to play the social media system without actually having any basis with which to line it up. Perfect example would be like the Libs of TikTok chick. She's another one. Instant block. She's got her fake binder. Goodbye forever. But I remember, do you remember the name of that brunette reporter, like just awful liberal chick that she and her were like arch enemies, and then they had
Taylor
like
Lorenz.
Taylor Lorenz. Like, look, there's no love lost between me and Taylor Lorenz. But I remember when her and the Libs of TikTok chick sat down and talked, she kind of made the Libs of TikTok chick look like a fucking idiot. Taylor Lorenz kind of looks like a fucking idiot all on her own. But she made Libs of TikTok look pretty fucking stupid too, because she's not that bright of a woman. Yes. And so when actually confronted on the street, not behind a screen where she can fucking spell and fact check all her shit, she turned out to be not an intellectually impressive individual.
Oh, that face-off, if nothing else, just reaffirmed why the 19th Amendment was a mistake.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. It's two fucking retards going at it with the little foam things from your swim pool. But still, Taylor Lorenz came off looking sharper than she did. I mean, I'll tell it like it is. But then moving forward to the era of AI, it's like, okay, you've got, because everyone saw that dude that graduated from UCLA who like showed everybody how he used AI to get his degree and stuff, and how, this is supposed to be some big scandal. It's like, okay, but remember, we all already knew for decades that the colleges were just diploma mills and people weren't walking out of there with any appreciable skills. So the fact that they're using AI to get through their exams doesn't really change anything. If anything, that just means they're more enterprising, not less. They already were getting a useless education. At least they're now proving they have some tech skills.
Yeah. They have opposable thumbs. And that is something that should still be celebrated a millennia or 2 or 4 or 9. Who knows how long it's been. I got to ask Croc how long we've been around. But if anything, like, school tuition should just implode, right? If it's not a totally artificial system just propped up by something else, not to get political, because it ain't that show. But like, if Grok has your degree, why go to fill in the blank state?
Well, that's because this is all of this can be found in Brian Kaplan's book, The Case Against Education. I can't recommend it enough. It's the sheepskin effect. So you having that sheepskin, that diploma, doesn't demonstrate that you know anything about the industry that you're entering. What it demonstrates is that you're amenable, that you can follow instructions, that you'll do what you're told, and you don't rock the boat. Because those people tend not to get those diplomas.
It proves that you can finish what you start. You can finish a set out task. If you are given an objective, you can reach its conclusion. That is the main objective, or the main reward of having a sealed document in a frame somewhere. And not to demean any of, like, the genuine people that went there for what they were sold for it to be, and they're not retarded and they are good, normal human beings. You just had to go through the meat grinder, and good on you for coming out not a total fucking lib piece of shit. But in the end, I'll never forget what my stepdad told me. He's like, just get a degree. Just get a degree. I don't give a fuck what your degree's in. Your job's not going to be in your degree field anyway, but get a degree because it proves to future employers that you can finish what you set out, what you begin. You finish what you start as far as proving yourself to be a value to someone else. It is a mechanism to get buy-in and get your foot in the door. And he's like, because if you don't, you're going to have to bust your ass. You're going to be a decade behind. You're still going to be able to get there, but this gets you the door opened. And I was like, this sounds like a scam. Like, and I was like 17 looking at colleges, and I'm like, this sounds like a total waste of fucking time.
Yeah.
How about I just use connections that I already have that are in industries that I'm interested in and apprentice, or just, I don't know, fucking start now.
I was at a training facility when I first moved here to Indiana. They brought in the area office. They brought in a bunch of kids fresh out of college. We had ops trainees and merchandising trainees, which were off, people that were looking at the markets and stuff and dealing with like customers. And one of the merchandising trainees, he did something really fucking stupid, and I raked him over the coals for it. He was like, I've got a degree in this. I said, me too. Everybody in this fucking office has that same degree. We've all been doing this for 10 years. You're a dumbass who doesn't know a fucking thing. You just got here. Your degree means absolutely jack fucking shit. Just like my degree, just like everybody else's degree in this room. The only reason we know what the fuck's going on is because we've been doing it. You just got here. You don't know. So if you do something like this, before you do it, you ask the people who have been here and who do know, or you fuck all of us. And his eyes got like that big, and he was like, you can't talk to me like that. I was like, motherfucker, go talk to anybody else in this office. They're going to talk to you even worse than I did. I'm being nice.
Motherfucker, I just did.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me how I can and can't talk to you.
So I give the example of what my stepdad told me, and I counter it with reality, and that was the advice that my cousin gave me. And he was like, Jim, listen, here's the thing. That's what your parents have to tell you, because they don't want to stay up late at night worrying about your future. They want to know that there's at least a foundation under you. That's the only reason he's telling you that shit, because they love you, and it's his fucking job. I'm going to tell you the reality. The things you're going to learn in college are never going to happen in a cinder block room. It's going to teach you interpersonal skills, how to be somewhere on time. Yeah, all that shit's important, but you're going to learn relationships, reading people, who to trust, who not to trust. You're going to get backstabbed. You're going to find out what it's like to walk 6 miles home from a bar after your ride left. You're problem solving, life skills that you don't get in a cinder block room. And you're going to have a fucking blast doing it. Trust me. You won't remember any test you've ever taken, but you will remember the time that you did something that's questionably borderline legal or overtly illegal, like, and overcoming that. Or the time that your buddies had to come panhandle for bail money to get you back, in time to take a midterm. Like, shit
learning
like
how to mentally cope with morally gray situations.
Correct. Because the real world is that. The real world isn't what happens with somebody at the head of the class or the head of the room or the top of an org chart hammering shit down.
I had my bubble popped about college early on. I started out at Mississippi State as an engineering major, and all the prereq classes were so fucking boring. I was literally flunking out because I couldn't stay awake in any of them. And all these asshole freshman level teachers take attendance grades and like require you to participate in class. It's like, why is it not enough that I just show up on fucking test day and make an A on the test? Why do I have to like do all this other dumb bullshit? I obviously know this shit. So anyway, while I'm in the midst of flunking out on the easiest classes on the fucking planet, I was teaching juniors and seniors how to do their programming on their for their upper level class stuff. And I went and talked to the advisor for the department. I was like, look, I'm literally teaching your junior and senior level students how to do their fucking work. Can I get something to keep me interested in this, because I'm gonna flunk out of college. Like this shit fucking sucks. It's boring, and I don't want to be here. I would rather spend every night at the bar hustling pool tables and getting smashed off my ass, because these classes do not mean anything. And she's like, nope, this is the program we have. I'm sorry. This is like, if you don't like it, you can leave the program. And I left and went straight to the registrar's office and changed my fucking major that afternoon. Like, if that's how it is, then fuck this shit. And it was the same thing when I got to Murray in the ag program, and I had a marketing professor that he was talking about some stuff, and I took a year off I took a year off school. I needed a break, and I worked in the grain industry and got to see and worked with the merchandisers and watched the boards every day and like learned how that stuff worked. Get to class, and he was like, all right, so when the market starts doing this is how it's going to respond. And I was like, no, it's not. He's like, no, that's the way it is. It's like, it's in the book. I'm like, that's not the way it works. Like, I've literally been in the industry. Like, that's not how it actually works in the real world. Like, that's what your book says it does, and that's what you believe that it does, but that's not how the thing actually responds. And he's like, you're wrong about that. That is how it is. It's like, all right, so obviously this is all fucking useless. I just have to do what I have to do to pass these fucking classes and get the hell out of here.
Yeah, see, you learn more in your first 2 years in college than you learn in your last two, I think, because in your first two, like I turned 18 when I was in college, not because I was smart, because my mom wanted me in kindergarten when I was 4 because she was ready to be done with having kids in the fucking house, I guess. And
get this fucking kid out of here.
So, 100%. But I learned in the first 2 years of my college experience something that Grok can never. You can never be like, "Hey, Grok, does this ID make me look 21?" I mean, that's up to a bouncer, and thankfully, bouncers aren't AI yet. So there's that real world interaction that you're just not going to get in a digital form. So get out there, kids, experience life. Buy a printer, buy a good printer, something way higher than 300 DPI. Like, come on, that's like 1992 shit.
Mm-hmm.
Man, we made a lot of money printing fake IDs.
Allegedly. Dennis made a lot of money.
Yes, Dennis made a lot lot of printing fake
I don't know
IDs.
if there's a statute of limitations on self-incriminating allegations.
Okay, so
hey, Grok, can I go to prison for this?
The great thing about Mississippi State's student ID cards was the back of them had like the magnetic strip on them and looked a lot like a lot of, like, you had to, if you just like flipped it over and looked at it casually, it looked about the same as a Tennessee, Mississippi, Kentucky, or Alabama state ID. Louisiana was a little different at the time.
Well, Louisiana is always a little different.
Yeah,
at all the time.
But anyway, like, you know, the main states that most kids were from, if you just flipped over the Mississippi State student ID, it, you know, unless you really looked at it, it was just at a quick glance passable, which for a bouncer getting into a bar, that's literally all you need, because they're going to take it, they're going to look at the front of it, they're going to just flip it over and make sure the back isn't completely blank, and then they're going to hand it back to you. So
yeah, the bouncers are like, I need that camera up there to see me look at something. Okay, capiche?
So we figured out how to wipe everything off the front of the card, and then put it in our printer, print you up your ID, and then there you go. If you were really smart, you kept your own, like, several states have like the sticker that goes on it, you know, the holographic sticker. You just get a like a razor blade. You can peel that sticker right off of your original ID, stick it on your fake, and now you're passable, man. Nobody knows.
See, I wonder if this thread of American life still exists, because I've looked at, like, my niece, for example. She's going into her senior year of high school. When she turned 16, there was no like big push to buy a car or even get her license. She's like, no, I have a tablet. I FaceTime, I Snapchat, FaceTime, whatever, my friends. So I don't need to go to the mall to see them. I have no desire to learn to drive to go visit my friends, because we don't have to physically be in the same place. And I was like, oh, fuck. I forgot. Like, smartphones didn't come out until 4 years after I was out of college. FaceTime was like Jetson shit. So I lived in my teenage years out of my house, driving. Like, I need that car. That in-person interaction died, I think, a decade ago, and I'm just slow as fuck in realizing it. I don't know if that same like desire, like I've talked to people younger than me that have gone to college in the past 10 years, and I even went back and visited my alma mater, and it's the most boring fucking school of all time now. There's no keg parties, there's no field parties, there's no we're bum rushing this dorm and we're locking the doors and we're setting up kegs on every level and it's an all-night. Like, those don't exist anymore. They're all like, everybody's nerds now. I don't think there's anybody printing a fake ID anywhere unless their last name is like Lopez.
Yeah. Well, so you're right. That is true. So what I have learned from the handful of people who are late teen to 20 somethings that I've talked to recently, it's so part of it is because it's really weird, because on the one hand they're all a bunch of degenerates. So it's like, I'm not saying this to say that they're good people, but they're not pursuing things that we did that we knew were wrong to do, but we did it because we wanted to. So, but what it actually is that they're, because like, even if you look at the grade schools, like the grade schools are just a fucking madhouse. There's no discipline. They all get to be on their phones. It's just, for one, all teachers should just be shot anyway. But I feel bad for teachers at the same time, because it's a madhouse. They can't discipline anyone. They can't beat the shit out of the kids. The kids are just run amok in the classrooms and in the hallways. And yet, despite having no discipline and running amok, then when they do reach like their formative teen and early adult years, they're just automatons. Yeah. They're not pushing the envelopes. They're not exploring to see what they like, what they don't, what they can get away with. They're not doing those things. And that seems counterintuitive, right? Because you would think if they had no discipline growing up, then they would just be fucking barbarians when they were, say 21. But it's actually the opposite. What they all are just little productive little busybodies, exactly the way the government wants them to be. And that's actually terribly frightening, because again, they're not good people. They're not. A lot of us made mistakes, and then we learn from our mistakes, right? And then we'd like to think that we're better people today than we were then. They're a bunch of degenerate little monsters, but they do what daddy government tells them to do. And it's like, you're actually way worse. I would rather you be a good person who was independent minded and can think for themselves. You're the opposite. You're a bad person who does what you're told. That's terrifying. That's the worst kind of person, in my opinion.
But the problem is,
we have dissent in the chat, kind of.
And the problem is, they are raised on the fucking screen. Their parents give.
Wait, hold on. Let me just say really quick. No, Jay Forte, I was talking about people. Those aren't people.
So. Yeah,
they're raised on the fucking screen. Their parents give them a tablet when they're fucking 2 or 3 years old, and just like let them watch TV on that and let that entertain them, let that raise them. And then as soon as they hit elementary school, they get their own tablet that all of their class stuff is on. So from the time they're 2 years old until they get out of school, the entire time is spent on this thing, just staring at something. And the whole thing, and it's fucking programmed them. Like I feel like I've done a decent ass job with Sean and Katie, where that I've kept them off of some of that stuff enough, and also just like I say a lot of offensive, crazy, off the wall shit just to see if I can get.
No, you don't. Prove it. No, you don't.
Just to try to get a reaction from them and see like how they'll respond and push their buttons and tell them stuff that. Stuff that they're not going to hear in school, and also encourage them to challenge and push back on stuff. And they have taken me up on that and have done that on occasions. And like, they're okay. Sean wanted to get his license. Like, as soon as he was able to get his license, he wanted it. And I might have done a little bit of extra motivation in that by buying a truck for him and like, hey, look, like, if you're not a fuck up, you get to have this nice 20-year-old truck that, the suspension's a little bit shot on it, but God, it'll fucking run, and it looks cool, and it's got a nice sound system in it for some reason. The former owner, like, really cared about his sound system.
You're welcome. There
Yeah,
was a lot of investment into Infinity and Pioneer in the late 90s, and it's finally paying off.
This
you're
is
welcome.
something we've talked about before too in the past. Though is that the other end of that spectrum, because we're all on the spectrum, is we are the last generation. I say we. I know y'all are old. I'm still a young person, of course, but we are the last generation that we're old enough to remember when you didn't have cell phones, you didn't have internet, and so like if someone wanted to call you, you'd have to be home, right? If you weren't home, then it just nothing happened, and if you even had an answering machine, they'd have to leave a message, or they'd have to like if they wanted to write you, that required material. It didn't require something
you
digital.
even had a phone. We had all of our parties at my buddy Tim's house because number one, Tim didn't have a phone at his house, and number two, Tim's mom stayed with her boyfriend, her revolving boyfriends, all the time. Ooh. And so Tim basically lived home alone. So all of our parties, I slept in Tim's brother's bed more than Tim's brother actually slept in his own bed because he stayed at their grandmother's house.
Tim, black light video footage send to
See, the great thing is there's none of that footage because nobody had anything to record it on. There were some
the only reason I even bring that up is just to say we're the last generation who will know the joy of being able to say, no, I'm sorry, I can't accommodate whatever mini emergency you're having right now because I'm out.
Yeah. No,
I'm out. I'm not available. Whereas
out,
today, if you say that to someone today, they're like, oh, like you've offended them. It's like, no, that's normal for the last hundreds of years.
Yeah.
So I went hanging out with friends one night. We were going to go to a club down in Tennessee, and like you were saying, we didn't have cell phones or anything. So when we were gone, we were gone, and we were out for the night. Like I was staying the night with Tim. So I'm not coming back home until like 9 o'clock the next morning at the very earliest. And while we were out on the way back, me and my buddy swapped vehicles. So he took my truck, and I took we pulled over under an overpass to piss, and we swapped vehicles. He's like, "You drive my car, I'll drive your truck." I'm like, all right. So as soon as we get back into town, as soon as he hits the first four-way stop in town and takes the left to go where we usually would sit, cop car pulls out and puts the lights on. I'm like, oh fuck! Like we did nothing, so they're looking for me. I take off the other direction and fucking beat it and get out of there. He ends up rolling up. He ends up rolling up to Tim's house about 15, 20 minutes later. He's like, dude, you fucking bailed on me. I was like, yeah, they're obviously looking for me. Fuck that shit. He's like, they said that your dad called the police office or the police station because they need you to be back home at 8:30 tomorrow morning. Your dad has something going on and he needs your help with it on the farm. He's like, oh, okay. Like, but that was how my dad got a hold of me, was he would call the police station and have the police officers come find us in town to relay the message.
Yeah.
I would also say you brought up that thing about, that the parents just put their kids on the tablet or on the screen and that was a substitute for parenting. It goes to when they're young adults, right? So when we were 16 or 17 and we were trying to go fuck our girlfriend, of course you couldn't say that out loud, but your parents had to trust you to allow you to leave, because if you left, you were now outside of their custody, beyond sight and sound and communication for some period of time with some people doing something. And they had to trust you, but also B, they had to have raised you to be the kind of person they could trust. Whereas now it's like, oh, Justin said he would check in at 7:32 at 7:33. Call his bitch ass right now. See what he's doing. Well, you couldn't do that before. And so,
hey Siri, call his bitch ass right now.
Call his bitch ass right now.
I can tell you where both of my kids are right now. Like their mom has tracking on their phone.
That's what I was going to say. People, I've heard for years now that like the latchkey generation, such a detriment. And the point they're making obviously is having both parents in the workforce, negative, blah, blah, blah. Divorce rates go up, whatever. Sure. But that time has passed. We are so far beyond that that 30-year-old problem. We're now dealing with these other ones. I see latchkey as high trust, because that doesn't exist anymore. Like, again, I'm not a parent. I don't have kids. Justin, you were about to go into something that I'm cutting you off on. I only can relate to like my nieces and nephews, and my oldest niece, my sister and her, like they have that Live 360 app to where they can see where they're at all times. And not only see where they're at, like I have friends that share notification, like we go to a music festival and it's like, I'm turning my notifications on in case if we get split up, I can find you in a crowd, and they just never turn it off. I never look at it. It's an invasion of privacy as far as I'm concerned. But my sister and her daughter, they have the Live 360 app or whatever. And what ends up happening is my niece ends up busting my sister more times than the other way around, the parent busting the kid, as far as like who's keeping tabs on who. Like, hey, I saw that blah, blah, blah. You were using your phone at 1 a.m. Who you talked to? Like, I couldn't imagine that shit. Like, I knew the code to my garage because we were high tech as fuck in 1989. And it was a 4-digit, highly impenetrable security device. It was my birth year, my sister's birth year. But you punch that bitch in, fucking full house to yourself for 4 hours before mom gets home. Before anybody's there. And you could do whatever the fuck you wanted as long as homework was done. Now it's like, you go into a house, there's 3 cameras. There's one external. There's 2 external. One on the front door, one on the back door. There's one in the living room, one in the kitchen. Got an app, track it. Like, there's no trust. It's just always knowing, always on. Which to me is just like, I don't know. I'm not a pro or against it. I just don't know what that means going forward. Like, if the grid goes down for 3 days, like, what kind of parent are you? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know why this popped into my head, but it's that it's substituting things that parents and children or siblings or partners are supposed to have cultivated as a part of their relationship is now a feature in tech.
Well,
but cultivating the relationship was kind of an important step.
And that's I largely try to be even more hands off and kind of let my kids do shit, even more so than what my parents did. Like my parents were very trusting with me, and I kind of earned that and probably didn't deserve it. In a lot, and if they knew a lot of the things that I did, they probably would have been disappointed. But I never got caught. Like, that was number one rule, was don't get caught. And that's what I've tried to tell my kids too. I'm like, I don't give a fuck what you do, just don't get caught. Like, don't get killed.
Don't be retarded.
Don't get killed and don't get caught. Like, that's but like I'll be like, hey, like, are you getting close? Like, we need to go do this. And my daughter will message me back and be like, you have my location. I'm like, I don't look at that. I don't want your location. I don't want to look at your location all the time. I don't need to know where you are. Like, just tell me you're going to be here in 10 minutes or not. It's like, but their mother uses all of this shit. Like, she's got all the Live 360.
It's always the moms. I don't know any dad that's like, everyone sync up your phones. Let's get GPS. Obviously, I'm talking like it's 2008, but it's like, let's get the GPS on track. Let's make sure that we're all fucking, tracing and tracking and following each other. That's a mom thing.
Well, that's how we go out. We go out and do stuff. For like, go for the day to the lake or to Holiday World or whatever. And I put my phone in a backpack, and I put the backpack in the truck, and I forget that that I have either of them. And I go and do stuff, and then
normalize Faraday bags. They should be issued by the government to every family, 5 apiece, in case if you lose 2. But then you're forced to just, I don't know, once a day you got to put your phone in the fucking bag. Put the phone in the fucking bag.
But then, like, as a family, we'll split up and we'll go do different stuff, and I'll be like, all right, I'm gonna go over here. Y'all are gonna go over here. In 30 minutes, we meet back here. And then 30 minutes later, I'm back here. Nobody else shows up. They're like, well, we were sending you texts and calling you. I'm like, motherfucker, where is my phone? I wear some fucking Magnum PI shorty shorts and nothing else when we're at the water park. Like, what?
You can't be talking like that with a beard like that. You got to shave that down to a stash, dude.
Where the fuck am I putting a phone? Like, I'm not sticking it up my ass. Like, how do you expect me to answer your texts and calls when my phone is in the parking lot in the truck? I'm like,
maybe if it was still Nokia days, you could, because they had smooth edges, but you're not wanting to put a smartphone. It's way too girthy. It's way too. It's too wide. Way too wide. Well, another thing about the GPS tracking, live 360. Please don't ever fear for what your loved ones are up to. That came out when the current like 18 to 20-year-olds now, like the kids going into college, were just coming on line, like in their middle school years, like they're getting their first cell phone. It came preloaded with that shit, so they don't know anything else. Imagine what that does to a psyche when you're entering adulthood and you're trying to have like meaningful relationships. You're out dating. It's like, well, half the, not fun, but half of the heartbreak and half the lessons is from heartbreak, and half the heartbreak is from people doing things that they're not supposed to do, but you trust them to do them. And if you get your heart broken, that's life. Can you imagine having like your first crush knowing where they're at all times? Like
that's like
that's
a lot of people communicate with Snapchat, and it has the location feature. It's like,
that's not going to lead. That's not going to lead to like a higher marriage rate.
Yeah, and they're like, "Are you going to share? You're going to share your location with me?" I'm like, no, fuck you. I don't share my location with anybody. Like, if you need to know where I am, I'll tell you where I am. Maybe.
Like, look, I don't know. I should know Justin's age, but I don't, because I don't remember things like that because I'm a dude.
He's super old. It's way higher than you think.
I think I'm older than Justin, but
you are.
Like, how I think back to how many times it's like, oh yeah, so and so. Like, you hear your friends talking, like, I don't know, Jim, like so and so was out I saw her out at the bar Tuesday, and it was like, that bitch told me she was studying. Nah, dude, she's cheating on you. Fuck. And then you hear from another friend, like, yeah, dude, like, you should probably just move on. And it's like, what? No, I got to hear it from her first, because like, you guys are whatever, but, and this is what I was going back to what I was talking about the first couple years of like college, what you actually learn, like, I don't know, reasoning, learning people skills, finding out who's trustworthy and who isn't. You don't get that through an app where you can just look where everybody is at all times and know like who's next to who, and like who said that they were going to be where. And it's like, well, I can see that they're not, they're lying. Like that doesn't teach you anything. I don't know. I think it all goes back to Ted Kaczynski was right. His diagnosis was right. His prescription was wrong. To any future person looking at this episode, violence has never worked in the history of man. The history books are wrong. He was just a smart man who made some mistakes. But technology is a massive tool that will be the axe that we saw that hits us in our own nuts. That's my opinion. Not to be too super downer, but I think overall there'll be a lot of future problems that Grok won't be able to fix because of technology.
I haven't seen all of your shows, Justin, but I feel like that should be like the signal for you're entering the finale, like when I would normally play the slow jazz and ask Dave for his final thought. The signal that you're ending the show is like, so anyway, Ted Kaczynski was right. And here's why.
That is usually a good lead to wrapping up the show. I try to end most shows with that anyway. So
yeah, well, it just came about naturally. It's just objectively true. I was going to say, is really quick, since we were talking about AI earlier. When it comes to AI telling you what you want to hear or whatever, my little thing that I've been doing lately to try to like get something out of it is like, let's say for instance, you're saying like, oh, Trump says Massey's a bad guy, he should be primary. Hey, Chat GPT, is Thomas Massey a bad guy? Well, you can't do that. You have to say, GPT, I want you to steel man the case for why Thomas Massey is like Jesus Christ. And then I want you to steel man the case for why Thomas Massey is Satan on earth. And then you can actually say, Chat GPT, here's a scoring system I've developed. I want you to put your cases against each other and give me a final score. Is he net good or net bad? Where 100 is Jesus and 1 is the devil. What is he? And it'll actually do that. And the only reason I bring that up is that it sometimes will give you some surprising answers, in the sense that the Steelman case is going to be either all good or all bad. But it's like, okay, now I want you to compare and contrast. Give me a final score. It'll actually give some pretty interesting answers, or at least I put it this way: the final score it gives after pouring through that exercise won't quite be the same answer it gave when you just asked the question.
And if I can filter that for our sub 100 IQ listeners like myself, you can also go ask AI, Trump said bad thing about Massey. Did Trump ever say good thing about Massey? And you can find out all the times that he said both good and bad things. And therefore, this time, him saying the bad thing is no more important than when he said the good thing, because it's politics.
But I did have my Chat GPT give me the Steelman case for and against. I think it was Mitch McConnell, and then give me a final score. But I tell you what, it was pretty fucking bad. I said, okay, what's Mitch McConnell's score? And it was something like, 34 out of 100. And I was like, okay, well, make the case for him being the worst person ever. Then make the case for him being the best person ever. Okay, now's what his score. His score actually went down into the teens. I was like, oh, holy shit. Okay.
Now, GPT, talk to me as though the only metric that matters is being politically effective. Now rate him. And it would be very different. I think politics makes, not only for strange bedfellows, it makes for very odd... It makes for what would otherwise be normal people, or even demonic people, acting even more demonic than they actually would be. I think we can all agree, that's kind of what brought most people to a libertarian curiosity, is that we realize the natural function of politics being that it just ruins what otherwise would hopefully be a good person, for interests that are outside of themselves most of the time, but they somehow benefit. And then you start to just judge them on a different scale. It's like, okay, well, he was an evil person, but given the scenario in which he was having to work within, how effective was he? And if you're in politics, you look at I don't know, who do I build coalitions with? You don't build them with the least effective political minds. And that's how you grade on the curve that we exist in. And that's why when everybody freaks out for this is fucking awesome, it's like, you're retarded. And when everybody's going, this is fucking terrible, it's like, you're probably right, but you're still retarded, because this is a moving scale, and it's always in flux.
It is true, but I also say, for the people who say things like, well, actually Massey's bad because what bills have Massey been able to get through? He doesn't have any answers. To which my response always is well, I'm sorry, he did introduce the Let's Not Fuck Children bill, but it had such bipartisan resistance he couldn't get a vote on it. My bad.
Tell him to look at Bernie Sanders' record as well. The only things that he's ever actually gotten past were renaming post offices. That's legit.
Did he at least rename them into something good? Or
it's kind of like going to
name them after people.
I mean, but it is kind of like going into an NWA concert and trying to pass a bill for banning the N-word. It's like, well, that's not going to happen here. Sure, it could be a good idea, but you're working within a structure that's not even a possibility. So while you're making a position that is sound, I mean, come on, this isn't the place for that to be a thing that's gonna gain weight, and knowing that means that you're gonna have that opposition. Therefore, brilliant move, but also if you're gonna go into a crowd, if you go into a heavy metal concert and you're like, I want to ask these motherfuckers how they feel about Jethro Tull, you're probably going to come out with some black eyes. It's the wrong arena for maybe the right reason, if that makes sense.
Now, I know for a fact that Thomas Massey would stand for your right to say nigger. I know he would. So don't you be using that analogy here, sir. I know
Speaking of
fight for you.
Speaking of that, and effectiveness, and in the interest of ending the show, we're going to show Angel Reese's most recent highlight.
Fuck yeah.
Perfect.
Clock and game clock here.
Get this like there we go. You're going to do it now. Clear out.
See who has the most will on this particular play. Reese lost the handle. Melvin in transition.
Wow.
I'm surprised she said that she lost the handle and it wasn't stolen from her. No, you got to speak in terms that are familiar, you know?
The only reason I think that clip may have been AI is that the other fast break didn't miss the layup.
Well, it wasn't a full clip. It was a condensed clip.
That is true. Maybe they missed the layup too. So, yeah.
We need longer highlights next time, Justin. But otherwise, kudos, sir.
Yeah, don't invite this son of a bitch onto your show because he'll come on talking about fucking WNBA.
What were we supposed to talk about that episode? We were only supposed to do like 5, maybe 10 minutes tops of like just some what's been going on in the WNBA, and then we end up going for 25 or 30 fucking minutes of nothing but WNBA.
One man being berated by one other man. I watched the whole thing, and the whole time I was like, this is what it's like watching the WNBA. One man is extremely uncomfortable, and the other one's talking a lot.
I'm sorry, and you're welcome. All right, guys. What do y'all got? Alan, give your plug. Jim doesn't do anything anymore.
Nope.
Episodes of It's Too Late are now occasionally Wednesday nights at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. They used to be every Wednesday night at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Now they're whenever I feel like it at 9 o'clock Eastern Time on Wednesday nights. You just go to Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, YouTube, whatever. Just go to where is it? Which hand? There we go. Yeah, at Alan Mosley TP right there.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. This has been fun. I intend to get back to doing live streams with other people more regularly going forward.
Why other people? You don't like us, or you want different? Okay.
I just meant like
you notice he never did show us that mutant block list.
I might try to find some of those, see if I can get them. Some of those are mutual blocks. Though, so
future content, Alan. We've brought him to the entry point to the mine. He now needs to take others on that journey.
Oh, like I was talking to Alan about before the show, I'm actually on the downhill side of a pretty rough year and feeling better. I'm starting to gain weight again. I'm about to get all of this bullshit that's been haunting me for the last 6 months over and done with, and life is kind of getting back to normal, and that means the show will also be getting back to normal. So expect more of these in the future. Thank you again, Alan, Jim, and Eric, wherever he went, and for all the viewers and listeners of the show. I will be back. Not next week. Next week is actually my vacation week. I take vacation the same time every year, and so vacation starts this weekend. I will not be back next week, but the following week I will be back, and I actually have a couple interesting topics that I plan to talk about. So I will see you all then. Thanks, guys.